Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Caitanya-caritamrta of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 152. Mali, Hoya, Kare, Shei, Bij, Aropan, Shravan, Kirtan, Jale, Kareye, Shechan, Malli Hoya Kare She Bijaropan. Shravan Kirtan Jale Kareye Shechan. Malli Hoya Kare She Bijaropan. Shravan Kirtan Jale Kare Shechan. That's enough. And someone else please chant.
Malli Hoya Kare She Bijaropan.
Malli Hoya Kare She Bijaropan.
Shravan Kirtan Jale Karaye Shechan.
Shravan Kirtan Jale Karaye Shechan.
Malli Hoya Kare She Bijaropan.
Malli Hoya Kare She Bijaropan.
Shravan Kirtan Jale Karaye Shechan.
Shravan Kirtan Jale Karaye Shechan.
Malli Hoya, becoming a gardener. Kare, does. She, that. Bij, seed of devotional service. Aropan, sowing. Shravan, of hearing. Kirtan, of chanting. Jale, with the water. Kareye, does. Shechan, sprinkling. When a person receives the seed of devotional service, he should take care of it by becoming a gardener and sowing the seed in his heart. If he waters the seed gradually by the process of Shravana and Kirtan, hearing and chanting, the seed will begin to sprout. Any editors here? Need a comma after the word seed in the second sentence. Otherwise ambiguous. Purport: to live with devotees or to live in a temple means to associate. You saw that? He's getting trained as an editor. To live with devotees or to live in a temple means to associate with the Shravan Kirtan process. Sometimes neophyte devotees think that they can continue the Shravan Kirtan process without worshipping the deity, But the execution of such Shravan Kirtan is meant for highly developed devotees like Haridas Thakur, who engaged in the Shravan Kirtan process without worshipping the deities. However, one should not falsely imitate Haridas Thakur and abandon deity worship just to try to engage in Shravan Kirtan. This is not possible for neophyte devotees. The word Guru Prasad indicates that the spiritual master is very merciful in bestowing the boon of devotional service upon the disciple. That is the best possible gift the spiritual master has to offer. Those with a background of pious life are eligible to receive life's supreme benefit, and to bestow this benefit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead sends his representative to impart his mercy. Endowed with the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master distributes the mercy to those who are elevated and pious. Thus, the spiritual master trains his disciples to render devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Guru Kripa. It is Krishna Prasad, Krishna's mercy, that he sends a bona fide spiritual master to the deserving disciple. By the mercy of Krishna, one meets the bona fide spiritual master, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, the disciple is fully trained in the devotional service of the Lord. Bhakti Lata Bij means the seed of devotional service. Everything has an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan, or device, there is first of all the contemplation of the plan, and that is called the bij or seed. The methods, rules, and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitute the Bhakti Lata Bij or seed of devotional service. This Bhakti Lata Bij is received from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. Other seeds called Anyabhilashita Bij include Karma Bij and Jnana Bij. If one is not fortunate enough to receive the Bhakti Lata Bij from the spiritual master, he instead cultivates such seeds as Karma Bij, Jnana Bij, or political, social, or philanthropic bijas. However, the Bhakti Lata Bij is different from these other bijas. The Bhakti Lata Bij can be received only through the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, one has to satisfy the spiritual master to get the Bhakti Lata Bij. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasadaha. The Bhakti Lata Bij is the origin of devotional service. Unless one satisfies the spiritual master, he gets the bij or root cause of karma, jnana, and yoga without the benefit of devotional service. But one who is faithful to his spiritual master gets the Bhakti Lata Bij. This Bhakti Lata Bij is received when one is initiated by the bona fide spiritual master. After receiving the spiritual master's mercy, one must repeat his instructions, and this is called Shravan Kirtan, hearing and chanting. One who has not properly heard from the spiritual master, or who does not follow the regulative principles, is not fit for chanting, kirtan. This is explained in the Bhagavad-gita. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana. One who has not listened carefully to the instructions of the spiritual master is unfit for chanting or for preaching the cult of devotional service. One has to water the Bhakti Lata Bij by receiving instructions from the spiritual master. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Shreshtam Manum Api Shachi Putramatra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Gajamurupuring Maturim Goshtavartim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tine Smarane Hoi Bigna Vinashan Anayashe Hoi Nijavan Chita Puran Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you for receiving me very nicely and for being here on this beautiful summer day when everyone can enjoy themselves. But instead you've come here to enjoy yourself by chanting Hare Krishna and being happy. And special thanks to Ananta Prabhu and Lalit Govind Prabhu for being here forever. Well, it's not forever. Us Prabhupada disciples aren't going to be here forever. That's becoming pretty obvious. And time rolls on. But Srila Prabhupada said about Delhi, when Tejas Prabhu was the town president there, it was 1970s. He said Delhi means Tejas and Tejas means Delhi. He was so much identified with that. So I think we can say ISKCON Ljubljana means Ananta Prabhu and Lalit Govinda Prabhu. And Lalit Govinda Prabhu and Ananta Prabhu mean ISKCON Ljubljana and all of you. And congratulations for finishing another Padayatra. This time is Chaka Yatra, going on wheels. And then when you got down from the vehicles, then you'd walk. But one way or another, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is going out to this land of Slovenia. And you're feeling the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Is it not? It's Pratyakshagavam dharmyam susukam kartamavayam. You can directly experience. It's not just a theory. And you directly experience the happiness of devotional service. We just read a verse from Sri Caitanya-caritamrta. You can read Caitanya-caritamrta. Please, if you're not doing so, you can do. Caitanya-caritamrta nitta karopan jaha hoite premananda bhakti tattva gyan. Daily, regularly drink the nectar of Caitanya-caritamrta, from which you will get premananda, the bliss of love of Krishna, and knowledge of the tattva, the teachings of devotional service. In Caitanya-caritamrta there are so many heart-touching, heart-purifying, heart-touching narrations about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees and associates. And also, very importantly, there's Bhakti Tattva Gyan, knowledge of what is devotional service, how to execute it, so that one can come to the conclusion of performing devotional service in this world, which is pure love of Krishna, which is this verse I read is from that whole section which deals with that, in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking. Just before this is the famous verse, Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. A fortunate, out of unlimited, Eta Brahmanda Bhare Ananta Jivagon Chaurashi Lakha Jonite Kore Brahman. Out of unlimited, uncountable jivas, living beings, rotating within this universe. One who is very fortunate, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, can get the seed of devotional service. And then this verse which we read today says, Mali hoyash kare she bijaropan, Shravan kirtan jale kare she chan. We get the seed, and then we have to become a gardener. Of course, this is all figurative. Become a gardener, plant that seed in the heart and water it with the water of hearing and chanting about Krishna. And then the creeper of devotional service will grow up and up and up and reach the spiritual world, unless it gets obstructed. There can be obstructions. There can be weeds which obstruct the growth of the plant. This is described in the upcoming verses of this very important section of Caitanya-caritamrta, how to execute devotional service, and the obstacles one may face are given in a nutshell. So one of the obstacles is the weeds, or that which may appear to be like devotional service but which isn't. Another obstacle is if you're cultivating the garden very nicely, but a mad elephant enters. If one is offensive, if one makes offenses, then very quickly the whole garden which is cultivated very nicely can be destroyed. There's so much in this purport to discuss. One particular point I wanted to discuss today is the other kinds of seeds. Srila Prabhupada says that for every undertaking there is a seed, there's the idea. What are we going to do? What do we want? What are we aiming at? So the Bhaktilata Bij means we get the idea that I should perform pure devotional service to Krishna. And this is all explained in the upcoming verses. Several verses are quoted. Anyabhilashita shunyam gyanakam adyanavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. Pure devotional service, the topmost cultivation of devotional service is that which is undertaken without any desire for material enjoyment or for liberation from the material world, cultivated favorably. And then other verses quoted, Sarvopadi vinir muktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Bhakti, devotional service, is defined as when one is free from all material designations and one's heart is purified and attached to Krishna and engages all the senses in the service of the master of the senses, namely Krishna. So this is pure devotional service, and the bona fide spiritual master gives the idea that this is what we should be doing with our life. We should be cultivating pure devotional service to Krishna. That idea is planted in the heart. Here it said Guru specifically, devotees in general will give that idea. Adao Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. In the beginning there's some faith, one associates with devotees. Someone becomes eligible or open to taking up the path of devotional service under conditions where they feel fed up with material life, if they're fortunate. kono bhagye karo shongsha koyan mok hoy sadhu sange tabe Krishna rati upajoy. Again in Caitanya-caritamrta it is stated that by some fortune, again good fortune, brahmanda brahmate kono bhagyavan jiv. So by good fortune, if someone is feeling fed up with material life and they get association with devotees, then the feeling for Krishna can arise in their heart. So when one gets the idea that I have nothing to do but to serve Krishna, that is the Bhakti Lata Bij. But there's a warning here also in these purports and in the upcoming verses about the various weeds are classified. Some common examples are given. Figurative weeds or attitudes or activities that will obstruct our advancement in devotional service. Nishidacha, kutinati, jibe, hingshang, labha, puja, pratishtadi, jato, upashakagon. Some examples are given. Not following the principles of devotional service, engaging in forbidden activities, such as meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex, and there are so many other. Nishidacha. Duplicity and diplomacy. This is typical of ambitious materialists. They interact with others to manipulate them, exploit them. So if a devotee has such an attitude, that's going to spoil his devotional service. Kutinati jibe hingshan, violence to other living beings, that's generally taken to mean killing animals for eating. It can also mean, Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes it as stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. Jibe hingshan. Then desires for gaining money through the performance of devotional service. Chant Hare Krishna and grow rich. Something like that. Labha, puja, pratishta, desire to be honored, the desire to have some position, and there are so many. The Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that there are other kinds of bijas. Karma bij, jnana bij, and anyabhilasha bij, all kinds of others' desires except pure devotional service, which may be classified. Nishidacha, kutinati, jibe, hingshan. They fall under the general categories of wanting to enjoy this material world, wanting to be liberated from this material world without an attitude of devotion to Krishna, and then all other kinds of desires. And some examples are given. Of karma bij, jnana bij, political, social, or philanthropic bijas. So it may be that one is cultivating devotional service, but at the same time mixing it up with other ideas, without a very clear understanding of what we're supposed to be doing in devotional service. One who has not listened carefully to the instructions of the spiritual master is unfit for chanting or for preaching the cult of devotional service. One who is faithful to his spiritual master gets the Bhakti Lata Bij. If we don't hear carefully the message of pure devotion, then we're liable to mix up the idea of pure devotional service with political, social, or philanthropic ideas. political, for instance, in the United States of America, it seems many of our devotees, if not, they're very politically minded in terms of Republican Party and Democratic Party. Mostly Democratic. Which is nonsense. Because they're all nonsense. But somehow they're very concerned with almost all Democratic. They don't like Republican. I really don't like. Or in India also, many of our devotees are inclined, or strongly inclined to certain political party which does not have pure devotional service as its aim. So you can get mixed up with that. And of course you can get mixed up with ISKCON politics also, or Sri Vaishnava politics, or whatever. It's there in everywhere. The Catholic Church politics. But our aim is not to get involved in politics. Social, philanthropic, feed the poor, help the blind. That's not what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach. Can be done alongside devotional service or direct devotional service, but it's not the aim and object. And if we mix up that it's all the same, then we lose sight of the proper goal. The difficulty with that is that if we try to tell people about devotional, we have this quandary or difficulty. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us to preach the message of Krishna consciousness. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself found it, especially in Varanasi, difficult, a hard sell. Very difficult to find anyone who would take it. And that was in Varanasi, which was and is a capital of impersonalism and also of materialistic religion. Smarta religion. So it's hard to give people the impression of pure devotional service there. But it is, after all, a city of Lord who? Actually, Varanasi belongs to Lord Vishnu. He gave it to Lord Shiva, but it's known as a place of Shiva. And it's on the Ganga, and Ljubljana isn't. It's not a place of karma kanda or jnana kanda, it's just a place of ignorance, that's all. From the Vedic perspective. What river is it on? Any river? There must be some river here, I guess. The river Ljubljana. Ljubljanica. Okay, it's not a pious river. You don't get cleared from your sins by bathing in that river. So how much more difficult it is to give the message of pure devotion. How difficult it is. Srila Prabhupada went to the West and no one thought that he could do, that it would be possible to preach Krishna consciousness. People there are very sinful and I have no idea of Krishna consciousness. Nothing idea. Growing up in England in the 1960s and 70s, I hadn't even heard of reincarnation till my teens. Even the idea of reincarnation, I never even heard of it. It's different now. Probably you all hear something about it growing up. Something. Never even heard of it. Vegetarianism? Practically unheard. Oh, I didn't know anyone who was vegetarian. Maybe they were secretly. So, yeah, it just wasn't considered. Times have changed. You have a vegetarian restaurant. If you had a vegetarian restaurant in England in the 1960s, your daily attendance would be 0. I don't even know if people know what the word vegetarian meant. I hadn't even heard of it. So it was considered impossible, but okay, give that. Taking my vegetarian pills. Okay, just one. Pill. Singular. So there's some progress, no doubt, and so many books have been distributed here of Srila Prabhupada. But still, it's a hard sell. Brahmanda Brahmate Kono Bhagyavan Jeev. Only someone who's... we don't expect very many people to take to Krishna consciousness. So on one hand, we're told to preach Krishna consciousness widely. On the other hand, it's difficult to get people to take it up. So if we speak about vegetarianism, peace, love, philanthropic activities, people are more open to that. They like that idea. That, yeah, it's very nice. You're nice people. But if we speak, they have to surrender to Krishna, give up meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. Not many people are very open to accept that. So it becomes difficult to preach. So we may present ourselves in a little bit different way. The thing is, if we do that, then people will expect us to fit. Then people can put us into that box. People understand that box, that concept. Nice people who sing and something Indian and vegetarian and nice people, and they do good for the society. But if we give the concept that you're not Slovenian, you're not European, you're not a human, you are not male, female, eunuch or anything else, you are an eternal spiritual being, servant of Krishna. And that's it's very difficult for people even to conceptualize it. So it's easy for them to put us into their mental box. The thing is that we have to start acting and representing ourselves within that box, as if we belong to that box, which we don't really. You get what I'm saying? And people start to identify us like that, and we start to identify ourselves also. So it becomes dangerous for our devotional service. And then the whole preaching of Krishna consciousness becomes somewhat different. This, I saw on a packet of some amla powder, which amla comes from India, one kind of berry, which I got in America, and I just saw today on the packet that every packet you purchase, you will help a hungry child, because we give money to Akshay Patra in India. So that is some outreach by people who are claiming to follow Srila Prabhupada, and they present, this is the Akshay Patra, which means never diminishing plate. But you have to keep on sending them money, otherwise it diminishes. So keep on sending us money. And ISKCON has a very good name in India. One major reason is because people know that we're feeding poor people or children in schools, and that helps them to get a good start in life so they can get ahead in the world. So people have a good impression, but they don't know what our philosophy is. And when we have to preach about that, instead of preaching Krishna consciousness, we have to preach. If you want people to give money for feeding children, you have to say we're feeding children. And if you say we're feeding children, you're not saying that human life is meant for God realization, and you should take it up very seriously. So our message becomes changed. And then we are distributing anya abhilasha bij, different desires, seeds of different desires. So it becomes very dangerous. We become one who is not properly heard from the spiritual master, or who does not follow the regulated principles, is not fit for chanting. So the idea gets mixed up. The Bhaktilata Bij we receive from the spiritual master, but already within the heart there are so many different desires. So if we don't take that Bhaktilata Bij very strongly in the heart and water it by hearing and chanting, then the various seeds of material desires or other desires will grow. By hearing the actual message, then what happens? Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarva sangshayaha. Then the hard knot on the heart, which is the knot of material attachment, that becomes cut. All doubts become severed by the process of, well, specifically this is hearing about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam. So please read this section, go through it very carefully. I'm giving you some homework to do. Read this section. You can read from, it's chapter 19, beginning, well, the whole section begins just a little before that. And read it all. It's very important to go through this time to time. Very important instruction. You should all have Caitanya-caritamrta. Every home should have Bhagavatam, Caitanya-caritamrta. Of course, Bhagavad-gita as it is. You all have, I presume, in your home, Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya-caritamrta. Anyone not having? You don't have. You have Caitanya-caritamrta? No. You should get. No, none of us are qualified. But we become qualified by getting the books. It's good to think I'm not qualified because that's true. But by the mercy of Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, we can get the qualification. Do you live in Slovenia? Where are you from? Where?
I'm from Mumbai.
I see. Are you just visiting here for some time? Project, something like that?
No, I'm visiting a dear friend.
Oh, I see. In Mumbai you don't have?
I currently live in the mountains in Uttarakhand.
Oh, I see. Well, you can get there also. Sitting in the mountains, you should be a yogini. Where are you? In Dehradun, is that?
No, in between Almora and Mukteshwar, a small village.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh. Then you need books all the more. Make your home a temple. Do you have Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita? No Bhagavatam? You should get. Yeah, really. Gita, Caitanya-caritamrta, that will make your residence very auspicious. And if you read, that will make your whole life most auspicious. And if you follow, you can make the whole world auspicious also. Okay, anything? Anyone like to say? Question, comment, protest? Yeah.
I'd like to ask about dupliciousness and diplomacy. I could see in India, it seems like it's a matter of dealing, that you don't say what you think and the other person has to guess, or you just say the opposite, even among devotees. So is that also a hindrance to pure devotional service, that kind of dealings?
Well, if you know the culture, you know all the subtle indications. The same as in England, people say, please, thank you, and all this, but if you're English, you can know by the tone and the body language. They say thank you, but they're saying, get out of here, you jerk. So it's more subtle.
So it's not like in that category that it hinders.
It's more cultured to be subtle. And there is also a culture of respect is very strong there. That one must respect elders. Srila Prabhupada writes in the Gita purport that one should not offer even a verbal fight to superiors, what to speak of shooting arrows at them. So that culture is there. Duplicity, diplomacy, it's everywhere. The whole material world is running on it. India, not India, everywhere. Sometimes in practical dealings that's also somewhat needed. One has to know how to live in this world and be aloof from it and cultivate Krishna consciousness. Padma patram ivambasa, like a lotus leaf which grows on the water, but it always remains above the water. Anything else? Where is the mic? Okay.
Thank you for this wonderful lecture, Maharaj. When you mentioned the essence of our preaching should be you are the eternal soul and that human life is meant for God realization, that really deeply resonated with me. As a neophyte, even though I haven't realized these things myself, I always feel the need to start the preaching in this manner. How do we do this? Because it's very difficult. You just lose people's attention immediately.
You can, if we distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, it's very helpful. You can invite some preachers, have a Hare Krishna festival in the village. It's also possible. And you can say about that app. Okay. Okay, you can say. You can ask them to listen to my lecture. I have many in Hindi also. That's also one way. There are various ways. We have to try, do our best. But janma shata kari karo para upakar. First of all, you have to get yourself strong, then you can help others.